Your biggest trading win might be your worst enemy. It will feel like success, but it might be the start of a slow breakdown. You hit 3 trades in a row. Your confidence surges. You start thinking, finally, I've cracked it. But what if that exact feeling is part of the trap? What if the market's giving you just enough to make you feel like a genius, only to punish you for believing it? There's a truth many of us carefully ignore. Most traders don't blow accounts because of bad trades. They blow accounts after good ones. I've worked with dozens of traders who got wrecked right after a winning streak, and the data suggests the same pattern every single time. So, what's that edge you've been striving for really worth? Is it what makes a successful trader, or what creates losers in the long run? In this video, I'll show you the hidden psychological traps of your edge, how trading success messes with your mind, and why your biggest vulnerability always shows up right when you think you've got it all figured out. 1. The Dunning-Krueger effect. There was a guy I used to work with. Let's call him Jason. Jason had just finished college, marketing major, straight A's, had that sharp suit fresh haircut energy. You know the type, had all the answers, no hesitation, no doubt, and full of confidence. And to be honest, I kind of admired it at first. In fact, most of my colleagues did. But later in his first week, in a strategy meeting for a high-profile client, think big budget, national reach, the kind of campaign that can make or break your reputation, the rest of us were carefully tossing around ideas, looking at old brand data, target demographics, emotional resonance, and all that stuff. And without letting anyone finish, Jason cuts in. Honestly, I don't get why this is such a big deal. People just want content that's fast and fun, and I could make something viral in, like, an hour. You could feel the silence in the room. A few polite laughs here and there, and one person even nodded. But the rest of us were like, okay, kid. Still, no one shut him down. We all remembered being new. So the creative director said, all right, let's see what you come up with. He stayed late that night, working on his viral idea. You could see him in the corner, headphones on, bouncing in his chair. And the next morning, he walked in proud, smiling like he just cracked the Da Vinci Code. He showed us his video. It had fast edits, trending audio, and a hashtag that was already a week old. Honestly, it wasn't terrible, but it completely missed the tone. It felt more like a school project than a professional campaign. And when the client saw it, let's just say, the feedback wasn't gentle. Jason was quiet for the rest of the day. And honestly, I felt for him. He wasn't trying to be cocky. He just genuinely thought it was that simple. And that right there is the Dunning-Krueger effect. It's this psychological thing where people with limited knowledge or experience overestimate their abilities, not because they're arrogant, but because they don't know enough to recognize what they're missing. It's like trying to drive in the dark, but you think you've got it all figured out just because you haven't hit a wall yet. This story about Jason, it's the perfect mirror for what happens to traders, new or experienced. You stumble onto a strategy. Maybe it's from a YouTube guru, a slick Twitter thread, or just a pattern that looks obvious. You don't bother about backtesting, no real performance data, but you're sure it feels right. And then comes the thought, this is it. I found the Holy Grail. Let me hit you with some trading truth. Early success is one of the biggest traps in the game, because when a few trades go your way, you start thinking you're invincible. You ditch risk management, you double down on positions, and you break your own rules because, hey, you're winning, right? Then the market steps in and slaps you back to reality. Losing streaks, strategy tanks, and your account goes into heavy drawdown. And just like Jason after his failed campaign, you sit there thinking, what the hell just happened? It was working. That right there is the Dunning-Krueger effect, the trading edition. When you know just enough to feel confident, but not enough to see the cracks. Many traders are caught in that trap right now. But the Dunning-Krueger effect is only a tip of the iceberg. There are deeper, sneakier psychological traps convincing traders they found a winning edge when they haven't. If you want to avoid the rest and actually build real, lasting success as a trader, keep watching. Number 2. The semlice reflex. It sounds complex, but the idea is really simple. The semlice reflex is that instinct that rejects new information just because it challenges what we already believe, our so-called trading edge. You know that famous investor who still refuses to believe in Bitcoin? Yeah, that one with decades of experience, billions under management, and a reputation for being one of the smartest in the room. And yet, despite all the data, adoption, and real-world utility, still call Bitcoin rat poison, a scam, or just outright refuse to engage with it. Well, it's not because he's deeply analyzed it and found it lacking. It's because it challenges everything he's built his career on. The semlice reflex is the knee-jerk rejection of new information just because it doesn't align with your existing worldview. Let me break it down. This term comes from a Hungarian doctor named Ignaz Semmelweis. In the 1800s, he discovered that doctors could drastically reduce patient deaths by simply washing their hands. But instead of being praised, he was mocked and ridiculed. Other doctors refused to believe something so simple could be that powerful because it went against everything they thought they knew. But before you go blaming those doctors, though, you should know most traders do the exact same thing. They find something that used to work, a strategy from 2007, a setup they learned on a forum years ago, or a manual pattern they've sworn by, and they stick to it, even when the market screams, it's not working anymore. Algorithmic trading, machine learning, faster execution, smarter data, changing volume dynamics. The game has evolved. But many traders refuse to adapt, because adapting would mean admitting their old beliefs were wrong, and that's uncomfortable. So they double down on their outdated methods, blame market conditions, instead of realizing the truth. The market didn't betray them. They refused to evolve. That's the semlice reflex in action. It's not about intelligence, it's about ego. It's about rejecting the new edge because it makes the old edge look obsolete. And if you approach trading like that, know this: if your edge isn't evolving, it's decaying. So if you're serious about staying competitive, especially in a market shaped by algorithms and high-speed data, you need to drop the pride and start asking, what am I still clinging to that might be holding me back? Because the best traders aren't the ones who are right the longest. They are the ones who can let go the fastest and adapt before everyone else. That is how you protect your edge, and that is how you win. Number 3. The ostrich effect. This is a psychological trap that quietly destroys trading accounts, and one that almost no one talks about. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like an ostrich sticking its head in the sand to avoid danger. But in trading, the danger isn't a lion chasing you, it's reality. Here is how it works. The ostrich effect is the tendency to avoid negative information because it makes us uncomfortable. Instead of facing the facts, we pretend everything is fine because acknowledging the truth would force us to deal with pain, fear, or shame. Does it sound familiar? Maybe you ignore that stop-loss alert. Maybe you don't check the performance of a trade that is clearly going south. Or you avoid reviewing your trading journal after a rough week because deep down, you know the answer and you just don't want to face it. That's the ostrich effect. It's the voice in your head saying, if I don't look at it, maybe it'll fix itself. Spoiler alert, it won't. And this is why this is so dangerous to your trading edge. When you ignore a small problem in trading, like a trade breaking your rules or a strategy underperforming, you delay action. And that delay is what turns a manageable loss into a catastrophic one. You're not protecting yourself by avoiding discomfort. You're amplifying the damage. The best traders aren't fearless. They just train themselves to face the uncomfortable stuff, and they are also fast about it. They look at the red numbers, they review the ugly charts, and they ask, what went wrong, before the account gets wrecked. Because the truth is, avoiding pain in the short term creates more pain in the long term, and when you face the discomfort early, it protects your edge. So, if you're ignoring something right now, maybe a trade you're hoping will bounce back, or a pattern of mistakes you're pretending not to see, this is your wake-up call. Stop burying your head in the sand. Look at the data, feel the discomfort, then use it to get better. That's how you turn a hidden psychological trap into a breakthrough. 4. The Pygmalion effect. You have seen psychological traps that might be preventing you from building a trading edge. But what if I told you your beliefs, not your strategy, might be the main reason you're winning or losing as a trader? The Pygmalion effect is a hidden psychological trap that affects more traders than you'd think. This psychological phenomenon is where your expectations influence your outcomes. In other words, what you believe becomes what you experience. And in trading, this shows up in a very specific, very sneaky way. Let's say you build a solid strategy, it's tested, and it works, but only on paper. You then go live trading the strategy only to take a few early losses. Nothing unusual, just part of the game. But instead of seeing it as normal drawdown, you think, maybe this strategy just doesn't work for me. Or worse, you think, this strategy is cursed. Every time I use it, I lose. Now, watch what happens next. You hesitate on the next trade. You tweak the rules without reason. You lose trust in the system. And most of the time, you abandon it entirely right before it starts working again. That's not bad luck. That's the Pygmalion effect sabotaging your edge. Your belief that the strategy would fail caused you to treat it like a failure. And so it became one. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it works the other way too. Traders who believe they are building something that will succeed, even if they are in a losing streak, stick to the rules. They stay consistent and trust the process. And over time, that belief often turns into real results. Because when you believe in your edge, you respect it. You give it the time and consistency it needs to work. But when you doubt it too early, you never give it a fair chance to prove itself. So know this, your mindset doesn't just influence your psychology, it shapes your performance. And the Pygmalion effect is a reminder that you are not just trading charts and data, you're trading beliefs. And if those beliefs are based on fear, impatience, or past losses, they will guide your actions toward the very outcomes you're trying to avoid. So before you blame the strategy, ask yourself, did I give it the chance it deserved? Did I stick to the plan, or let doubt take the wheel? Am I shaping my results without even realizing it? Because the hidden truth is this: the best traders don't just build better systems, they build better beliefs around them. Let me leave you with this. Failure in trading is not because your edge stops working. Failure becomes a thing because we stop listening. We ignore the warning signs, we cling to bad habits, we trade emotions, and call it discipline. But the truth is, your biggest edge isn't in your setup. It's in your self-awareness. So, if you're on a winning streak right now, don't get comfortable. That's when the trap usually springs. And if this made you uncomfortable, good. That means it's working. If you need daily reminders that your mindset matters more than any setup ever will, you should join our Telegram channel. There, we drop real trading insights, raw truths, and yes, even live signals. The link is in the description. Tap in. Your future trader self will thank you. And if you are tired of inconsistent trading results and want to know why only 5% of traders consistently make profits while the rest struggle, in this recommended video, we reveal the powerful trading plan that successful forex traders, stock traders, and pro traders use to stay on top. Please don't forget to like, share with someone who this video will help, and share your thoughts below. I would really love to know what you think of this video. Until next time, May the trend be with you.